Okay. Testing, 1, 2, testing. Good evening, good evening to those who are now joining. Share the live, share the live, share the live. Yes, I know most of you are waiting on me at 7:30, but I had a little hiccups in getting started at 7:30, and I'll be from this point on until 9 o'clock every evening from Monday to Friday until February of 2022. So, just to facilitate the time with those who are now coming home in the diaspora because the time would have changed. The time would have changed to those who are looking at this the GMS Live Voice of Democracy. So, tell one, tell all that Dr. Matthews is in the house. Good evening to you. Good evening, good evening, good evening. To those who are now joining, good evening. Yes, so I am going to make sure that I start in the next minute. So share the live, share the live, share the live, share the live. Share the live. Black love to you all. Black love to you all. Tonight is a wonderful topic. It's racism and economics in Guyana. And to those who are now joining, please don't hesitate to share the live. And we can have some call-in segment too, so people who are now joining that can be able to call in. Share the live. So, good night to you from Guyana, to the Caribbean Isles, the West Indian Isles, the Pacific Isles, the British Virgin Isles, the U.S. Virgin Isles, Mexico, United States of America, Canada, UK, it means the United Kingdom, the EU, European Union, China, Beijing, Hong Kong, Japan, the Taiwanese Straits, to those who are looking at the show from the Korean Peninsula, from India, Pakistan and Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, those places that people are, Guyanese who are stationed in those areas, who are working with, when I say Tajikistan and Uzbekistan and Pakistan, the Guyanese who are stationed in that area that are working with the United Nations, whether the feeding program, child's program, UNICEF. Thank you all for those who are joining me from those particular areas. To those who are joining from the Australian continent, Melbourne, Australia, places like Tasmania, Australia, and the New Zealand Isles and the Tonga Islands. To those from the African continent, Cote d'Ivoire, and places like North and South Sudan, places like South Africa. You know, welcome to you all from the South American continent, as far as Chile and Argentina, Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil, Suriname, French and Dutch Guyana, the Netherlands, Curacao, Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, and welcome to those who are joining us from Barbados. Barbados is now an independent and a republic. Congrats to those who are living in Barbados, who who have sought complete independence from the crown, the monarchy, the British monarchy. Just a couple of days ago, the Queen of England was still the head of state of Barbados. Now she's not. Barbados now has a ceremonial president. Maybe there will be some constitutional change. Who knows? Barbados is now a young country where their complete independence, which is a republic, is concerned. Welcome, welcome, welcome to you all, and congrats to the Barbadians who are now looking at this, the GMS Live Voice of Democracy. There's a lot of Guyanese over there. So, and there are Guyanese Barbadians who are living over there too. So, welcome to you all. Uh, you know, let me get straight to the topic. And I want those who are looking, Guyanese all, whether you count yourself as Indo-Guyanese, African Guyanese, Portuguese Guyanese, Indigenous Guyanese, Chinese Guyanese, whichever category you fall under, we are all Guyanese. Let me first help you to understand how this system works. And I'm talking about the system of racism. When we first ventured to Guyana, whether by force or by contract, we came to this foreign land, we came into a system that is so designed to keep us in a particular manner or in a particular way. Whether we see ourselves as beneficiaries to a system, the mere fact, as long as we are confined to an oppressive system of barbarism, terrorism, we are not free. And I'm saying this to all Guyanese who are looking at this, the Gavin Matthews show. We are not free. There's no contract that we entered into that makes us free. The minute we are born into a world system that is so designed to be controlled by 1% of the world's population, I want those who are looking to understand where am I coming from. So let me help you to understand this clearly. Let me help those that are looking at this, the Gavin Matthews show, can understand this very, very, very carefully and clearly. In this system that we live in, we are confined to have only one rule, the rule of the European way of life. And no matter how much we try to change it, we can design constitutions. We can be completely independent. Like, okay, let us show, for example, Guyana is a complete independent country. And our last court of Guyana civilization is the Caribbean Court of Justice. Because you know why? Let me help you to understand why. Because we now tell ourselves we have no trust in our judicial system. But the judicial system was never designed to give us justice. It was designed to take justice away from us. You know why? Let me tell you why. You have international communities that are countries that call themselves first world countries, like we use in the United States of America. Let's use that as an example. Whose company Exxon is over here dealing with oil contracts for external companies, not Guyana, and they're violating every one of our constitutional laws. Complete violation, checks and balances are not there. And the de facto administration that we have now are not encouraging checks and balances because they were installed. That's not a violation of our constitution by a foreign entity. So what is the worth then of our constitution? If a foreign entity can come to our country, violate our constitution and installed a government that were never elected according to our constitution. So now we become slaves of a system that is designed internationally to let us remain as slaves. No matter how much we talk, how much we get on the Facebook or in the social media or on Instagram or TikTok, and we venge our feelings against a system that is so designed to oppress us. Let me tell you now, our brothers and sisters of this country, racism, you think you may practice racism upon us who considered to be African Guyanese, but it's also practiced upon you. Because here we have an international community who's taking away your own rights and divide you according to class. So they can practice forms of racism. And if you reject it, they take it away from you, give it to another group who they think will follow their ideologies of racism. So we're going to break it down tonight. We're going to break it down and we're going to distribute it. Because I want those to know who are thinking, who are looking at this show and think that, oh, I'm Indo-Guyanese. And my family is well off. Think again. Your family is well off because the system wants it that way. If they want, they can take it away from you because you live according to the system. If you live outside of the system, then they can't take it from you. So we're going to have that discussion also too, because we're going to help you to understand where this destruction lies. We can start from the constitutional looks of things. When you think of the judiciary, what do you think of? The Caucasian system of justice. When you think of the pharmaceutical industry, what do you think of? The Caucasian system of pharmaceuticals. When you think of the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, what do you think of? The Food and Drug Administration of the Caucasians. That's a system that they set. Everything is about them. Let me break it down some more to you. Can you imagine the BCG vaccine that they give to your newborn? It has some level of mercury inside of it. Mercury is such a poisonous substance that they won't even give an animal, but they're giving it to your newborn. You know what mercury does? it slows the growth of an individual down. So while in the first world countries, when persons are being born in that country that has lots more privileges than Guyana, they're not having that because their babies are advancing. A 6-year-old over here in Guyana will have an intellect or an IQ of a 3-year-old over there because they're far more advancing. They don't have the same things we're having here. The same medical institution does not practice the same kind of medical behavior or medical practice here in Guyana over there. And I'm going to show you an example. Let's use the United States of America again. In each state of the United States of America, there are different levels of education. There are. The education a military family will have will be different from a family who's living in Brooklyn or in Bronx. The education those in Texas may have is different from the educational system in Georgia. There are different grades. There are certain communities that were designed to be educated in the scientific realm than those who may design in the realm of vegetation. Every different state has different levels of education. Fast forward now to Guyana. Our education system is still designed by the Caribbean Council of Education, which is controlled by the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth goes far back as to the throne again because they want to make sure that we are being educated under their system so we can be regurgitators of a lower level of education. That's how it is. That's how it is. And the most destructive part that we over here trying to divide ourselves in class, we're being ruled and controlled by our slave masters. And they pass down that kind of authority to those who enjoy enslaving other slaves like themselves. That is how they see the People's Progressive Party. And the People's Progressive Party will practice racism. But they don't even know that that practice itself is upon them also too. It's just a higher level of racism. They're getting the crumbs. You can imagine a man telling you, hey, you gotta give me 9.5 billion US dollars. Money you have never seen in your life. Now we got to enslave our population to pay that money back to somebody who has never spent it. Sit down laughing at me. You're enslaving your population even more. Nobody's having this conversation. So they got young Charles Ramsey Jr. Put him on the airwaves and uttering the kind of disgusting, disdain, racist remarks. And everything is okay. And you got people who is enslaved just like him, like me, who's following him. Well, boy, I gotta stand up next to you because there's an ex-gangster. It's a continuous barbaric way of life that they continue to peddle in the black community. And they're using those of the black, brown, yellow, whichever other color, to perpetuate that slave-minded condition so it can be woven into our DNA. And somebody will say, man, why you keep on talking about this? But this is more than 400 years. And when somebody like me gets up to speak about it, I'm being targeted because you're not supposed to talk about it. You can imagine my own people telling me, boy, you got to be careful. You can imagine they cannot see the danger in freedom. They prefer to be enslaved. Freedom is such a good gift. It's the best gift a man can ever have, to be free. But we don't want to come away from this enslaved condition. And this enslaved condition, we call it milk and honey. We prefer to stay in the enslaved condition. And then we got our leaders now on the other side who are being killed. Some of them who rise up to come against the system are being murdered every single day. And if they're not being murdered by a bullet, they're being murdered by the system. We can go to the medical institution and we can see exactly how they're being murdered. You walk into a hospital and somebody call a fancy number and a name for some kind of vaccine that you're supposed to get. It's laced with poison. By the time you finish, in the next few weeks, you're dead as a nit. And they're going to simply announce, here is the death of Gavin Matthews because he went into the hospital for some other ailment and he couldn't survive because it spread throughout his body and he died. And we sit down and accept it. Nobody makes no other questions or query because it's the system who is telling you that this happened to an individual. Do you get my point? So if the medical institution is killing you, here comes now the food industry, which is so much designed by the same things that they're using as a vaccine or medication. They're putting it into foods that you eat. The minute you open something from a pack or from a can, you could imagine how much poison you're consuming. And you can imagine the nutritionist who's there, who is so qualified to regurgitate food and nutrition, will give you meaty substance to eat. And when you consume it, it thickens your blood. Your blood becomes now inflamed. It can't function as the way it's supposed to. From your heart down to your feet up to your head so your brain can work. It's not doing that. It cannot function the way it's supposed to because you're consuming too much of dairy products. That's creating the mucus in your system. And then they're topping it all off. They're lacing you down with sugar. So eventually now you die out. Within a 50, 60-year period, it reduces. And even if you get beyond that, you're so frail in a position now that your faculties, you will lose it. Because you don't eat to heal, you eat to satisfy. So when we eat to satisfy, when we follow the food industry and we eat to satisfy, we eat to flavor our taste buds, we shorten our lifespan because we don't eat to heal. You see, we need to understand what is our purpose here on earth. What is our purpose here as a people? We need to understand where are we going and whose system are we following. So when we come up with one another now, we're abusing one another out. Like Anil abuses the opposition. He's looking for a viable opposition that can contest with. They Caucasians who are standing behind him and looking at him as a puppet because they're saying, well, look, he's looking for somebody he can contest with. We're looking at him now because he can't contest with us. He doesn't have the brain and the knowledge. But he's there peddling their propaganda. And we're so afraid to challenge it because we're not knowledgeable of the fact. And that's another thing. With knowledge, becometh wisdom, and wisdom bringeth freedom. And if we do not, and if we cannot sit to educate our population, our young ones, how can we then become role models of them? Why is it every time we turn around at some Caucasian meeting to some president and queen and king and some other thing going to the moons? What happened to us as a people? Can't we do the same thing? Can't we create our own system to live by? Can't we create our own money that we can spend among ourselves? Yes, we can. All we need to start off as a village. We take our own responsibilities. We create our own system so we can live side by side of each other. You come into my domain, my kingdom, you live by my rules. How come a man from till all the way from the United Kingdom coming till to Guyana to tell me I gotta live by his rules? He's living in the cold, I'm living in the tropics. What's the difference? Very, very vast difference. Where he's living, there's no vegetation. Where I'm living, there's vegetation. Where he's living, there's no strength of the immune system because his skin is pale and frail. Where I am living, my immune system is so strong that the pigment of my skin is dark. There's a vast difference. His education standards are what we're being educated by. So that we can't know anything above him. We know anything, everything under him. He controls our education system. But when you think outside of the box, then you're suddenly a madman. Or you're crazy. So you're controlling us by the racist system that you have, then you control us economically. Because we got to work to attain your knowledge. You can imagine you selling me your education system, your standards, and I got to work hard to pay for it. Since when? Since when I'm Jack and Jill? I'm not. Since when I'm a corporation? I am not. And to those who are looking, we're all from, since you have a birth certificate, you're a cooperation. That's what you're being tagged as. You're not tagged as a human being. You're tagged as a cooperation. There's no freedom in cooperation. There's two systems in cooperation. There's a minority and there's a majority. The minority is being seen as the weakest. And we're being educated that minority is being seen as the smallest group. We're not. This earth is a place of 7 billion people. The Caucasian race don't even pass 1 billion. They're a couple 100 million. And all the rest is the brown, yellow, and cream people. Sorry, black, brown, and yellow people. All the rest, since when such a small group of people controls an entire globe? Since when? Talk to me, everybody. I know it's making sense. Since when? And we're having it here in Guyana. It's playing out right before us. We have a party that practices terror and tyranny, mayhem and destruction, and that's woven into their DNA. Since when? We have to get rid of such a people. We have to change the platform in which we politically see each other. If we got two parties at the end of the day seems to not be making sense, then form a third party. It is simple. It's not hard. So people's going to say, oh, well, we can't form a third party because the system is so designed. You either PPP or PNC. Well, I'm none out of the two. I I must be able to vote for any one of my choice. As long as that person is willing to work for me. That is according to the Constitution. According to my will, but now the Constitution seems not making sense. Because nobody seems to wants to respect it and following it. We have good authors, we got good scholars, we got I think I I'm back. Yes, I am. We had a short disconnection there. Uh, you already know I always got problems with the internet, but it seems to me that I'm back. For those who, for those who are looking at the live stream, just give me a thumbs up if you're seeing me or you're hearing me, because I was cut off just now. To those who are looking, just give me a thumbs up to tell that would indicate to me if you're receiving my live stream back again. Yes. Yes, so it seems to me that yes, the live stream is back on. Good, good. Well, thank you very much. Yeah. So here we have it. Living in a system, living in a system that is entrenched on making our lives unhappy. There's no betterment in KFC and churches and fast foods and food in a packet. There's no nutriments with it. Now, even to the foods that are being planted, you gotta ask: is it naturally grown or is it genetically modified? Those are the questions we gotta be stumbling into all the time because we are bound in a system that is designed to oppress us so greatly, not only oppressing us physically but mentally. Because in every corner of the life in this system, it's a form of oppression. And it's not giving us any stability because we are becoming more unstable. Now, if you check it out, you got vaccine now, they're talking about a booster. Because you know why? People are developing antibodies to shake it off. So it's not working as how it's supposed to. And these people were giving us the same truths in plain sight. But some of us wasn't hearkening onto such a voice. But these things are real. To those who are looking, racism is real. Oppression is real. Dictatorship under the PPP government is real. It's not fake. Listening to 94.1 FM will take you into an entertainment culture. It is real. Mr. Ferguson and Bull is in it's in bed with the devil. It is to see how much black people they can get to help them and to keep them being misinformed. They will never wake up to reality when 94.1 is done with you. Because all you're going to be accustomed to is Gaza and Gully, the dance hall life. That's all you're going to be accustomed to. All you're going to be accustomed to is promotion of the alcohol. You know, since we're on that topic, let me show you how dangerous is this thing. Do you know that tobacco has more chemicals that are destructive to your lungs and to your system than the marijuana itself? Do you know that? But it's legal to sell tobacco over the counter, even to a child. And it destroys you in every way possible. Don't you think that something is backward with this system that we're living in? Tobacco has more chemicals, a cigarette has more chemicals in it than the marijuana is being sold over the counter. And the marijuana over the fields are going bundong and we got hide for sell it. It is far more destructive than the marijuana itself. Very, very far more destructive. But it's legal to sell you something to kill you. And they make marijuana illegal and they put you in jail for it. Now, certain countries are now making marijuana legal. So what happened to all those who are still in jail for marijuana? Mrs. Jagan, before she died, when she was president, legalized some forms of marijuana. That was a presidential decree. It's an order. People are still being locked up for it. Now, when you have things like colon cancer and prostate cancer, and you have breast cancer, marijuana is now being advised to use as a medical drug. People still getting high, but medically. So now what's the sense? Talk about it. Let's have this conversation. You want to go and extract a tooth. The cocaine that is so much illegal to use, they use a weaker strength of it to numb the gum before the dentist extracts the teeth. That means at the dental school, they got real cocaine sit down there. I don't care when nobody push it, turn it, or swing it. It is cocaine. Whether it was a reduced form or not. You can't come and tell me not about medical. The mere fact that cocaine is used, you can call it heroin, you can call it whatever substance, comes from the same cocoa leaf. This is what I'm talking about. So what system are we living in? In a place when we're asked to live healthy, when we can grow our own food, it now becomes illegal just now. Hold on. Just now it will become illegal for growing okra and planting in your backyard. Healthy foods that can promote healthy eating and not eat to satisfy, eat to stay healthy. Because when we eat to satisfy, we become primitive. We only tell ourselves now we can only live by eating. But we don't know that we can live by other ways and means. There are other substances that we can live. Eating is one part of living. It's not the main part. But because we're so primitive in our thinking, they teach us that to live we have to eat. Whilst they are living other parts of the social order of living, we only live in one, because it's all we need to know. Can't you sit down and imagine that this is the system that we're so part of? That this system is separating us from our own selves. And the race that is so lighter, not in understanding, but in their own lives, are telling us different things. We live now by their system, and their system now is being passed down to us. It's a reduced form of the Caucasian European system, but it's being passed down to us. We can't live beyond the Westminster system that we have right now, because we haven't been taught outside of the box. So all that we're doing right now is being regurgitators of an enslaved system. They tell us, oh, stop blaming the Caucasian race for things that they do, but I have to keep blaming them. because they are the ones who enslaved us, all of us. Whether we look at it differently, we look at it as cattle slavery, we look at it as indentured laborers, we look at it as brokers or pawnbrokers or whatever. It's all forms of slavery. So we have many systems within the system that has systematically enslaved us. And we can't move beyond that. We can move under that, but not beyond that. The minute we rise up to say we're going to move beyond that, they kill us out. Mass genocide. Suddenly, the president or the leader of that country is such a violent man that they have to go to war. Who you think pays the penalty of war-torn countries? It is the citizens, not the soldiers. It is the citizens who die out quickly because you have famine, hunger, and a disease that wipes through the nation with chemical explosions. With things that we're now open to that kills us. We can't breathe the clean air because so many bombs are being set off. And if they can't get that done, well, they suddenly send somebody in our country and said, "Oh, yeah." It looks apparently I am being disconnected steady. So I'm trying to hold on. Yeah. Like I'm back on. Yes, I'm back on. I'm getting a boot of steady because I don't know. I'm constantly when I hit these topics, I don't get the proper feed of the internet unless something else is taking place. But we're talking about racism and economics. We're talking about racism and economics, and it's always a sensitive topic. My show is a sensitive show. So the minute I get on and people, the industries doesn't like what's coming out of Gavin Matthews' mouth, I always get a hard time. They will always interfere with my feed. They will always interfere with my transmission, my live stream. I don't mind. It's something that I don't really care, but I must send the message. People must know that there's someone who's standing up for the civil rights of human beings. And we're talking about the People's Progressive Terrorist Party. Like, for instance, the 11 pounds, sorry, 1,100 pounds of cocaine that was intercepted in the Netherlands from Guyana. Again, cocaine. We are the slaves to them. So we have to do the things in order that they want us to do. Suddenly, we can't survive without currency. When we're a self-sufficient country, we can diagnose our own selves. We've been doing it for years. But suddenly we become a transshipment point for cocaine that is going to elsewhere. Same illegal substance that I was talking about just now. But if I sit here and I say, and I'm going to say, the Drug Enforcement Agency, the DEA, is the biggest cartel in the world. You have to pay royalty to them when you're a drugs dealer or when you're a country that your main economics is cocaine. You have to pay royalty to them. You have to pay homage to them. The Drug Enforcement Agency. And when you don't pay homage or you don't pay royalty to them, this is what happens. They control you. I'm not saying that we should be a drug producing country of cocaine. I'm saying this is what happens. This is the system when you want to live according to it, you want to live in it, this is the things that you got to do. So 1,100 pounds of cocaine are being busted in the Netherlands from Guyana. Now the Customs Anti-Narcotics Unit, CANU, and GRA, the container that scans, the scanner that scans the container, suddenly it malfunctions again. It's always malfunctioning. Which country think it come from? Let me tell you something. This is a ridiculous thoroughfare that happens constantly in this country. This is a ridiculous thoroughfare. And we need to get to understand ourselves that we cannot go about doing this all the time. It's hard. It's not right. And then they're peddling a lot of filth and stupidness to us, and we, as the people, saying no and accepting it. We're not changing the topic. We're not changing the game. We're not changing the game. We need to. If we want to survive, if we want to be a free country, we need to change the game. We need to hold these people accountable. It's only the people can do it. The people of Cuba have been doing it for years. And the US complaining for years, and the people of Cuba is still doing it for years. There are some people fighting to go back into slavery from Cuba, and there are people who are fighting to stay out of slavery. So what happened that people who were fighting to stay out of slavery in Cuba are the majority. Because you know why? The same thing we need to do here in Guyana. We need to reject slavery and accept freedom. Why must we fight to go back into slavery? That's what we're doing all the time. We're killing ourselves over $345 million contract that they give them slaves when they're taking more than 900 billion. Sorry, 9 billion point five US dollars. And they're paying them house slaves $345 million being worth a thing to them. It's lunch money. But their duty is to keep enslaving the population that worth nothing. So how can we keep entertaining and condoling 94.1? It's in jams we can't. Because they're treating us like nothing. They're already trying to enslave our minds by the crap that they play over the radio. And they're going to tell us, well, so what if we get 345 million? Then they send a slave driver, Charles Ramson Jr., to tell us that we ain't got no role models because we're all slaves. You know, as long as we can't get the picture and we're arguing things that are not sustainable to us, it makes no sense. Let's look at it since we're talking about it. As long as we cannot get the picture, it makes no sense that we talk about things that is not sustainable to us. And what's not sustainable? What is sustainability? It is securing our own food sustainable programs that can feed our country. That's one. And right now it's running short because sugar is out, rice is out, just now vegetation without, and we can't eat nuts, so we got to import everything. Let me show you a simple example. In the island of Haiti grows everything. The international community did it so bad that they make sure that the Haitians can't plant rice to feed themselves. You have to now import it from a country that is against them and their system. Just now they're going to do it to Guyana, and just now with the speed we're coming with Guyana, we're just now going to tell us that our constitution makes no sense because our politicians keep violating and evading our constitution. Yeah, just now they're going to tell us that our constitution makes no sense at all. Just now they're going to tell us that our constitution makes no sense. Because not only the Caribbean Court of Justice was telling us that, everybody was telling us that Order 60 was a complete and separate electoral regime. So they get a party to violate it. They get in elections. Look the craziness. All of us know that if Khaled Singh remains there as Elections Commission, chairperson of the Ghana Elections Commission, that Order 60 will always be the rule of the day. Everybody knows that. And we got people going to stand up on Main Street in front of the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, protesting. The little boy that is so disrespectful in his racist remarks. Fine. You're supposed to go and protest. But what happened at GCOM? We ain't going to protest there. We ain't going to protest there. Member of Parliament Are we not going to protest in front of GCOM? Are we not going to protest in front of the Criminal Investigation Department for the killing of the businessman in Dartmouth and the two young men that the investigation can't complete up to now, the Henry family, the Henry boys? Are we not going to go protest in front there? These people are not supposed to be comfortable. It's a continuous racism. It's a continuous oppression. It's a complete and a continuous dictatorship and terrorist attitude by this PPP government. And these people who are perpetuating this racism can't imagine and understand. They're just like us. I don't know what make them white. As long as your neck in red and blonde and blue eyes, you're black. You are black. No matter the twists and turns, you're black. You can't change that because that's how they see you. And that's how they will treat you. They put you in there. And they give you a 15 million US now, and they give 10 million US dollar tomorrow. Sometimes they give 5 million. And then they're going to give you all these money and then control how you spend it. PPP conglomerates. They control how you spend it. It's the same thing the Chinese doing. The same thing the Chinese doing. They get $200 million to control how you spent it. I'm talking about US dollars, as a matter of fact. You check every country that comes to do business with us. It's not economically driven. It's to control how you. You can have fancy airports, fancy roads, but your people are dead poor. They're slaves. The country that you're controlling and has all these fancy things, it's there for them to come and enjoy. Rape your system and leave because they control it. We can talk how we want to talk. We can say, oh, she's compromised. And I'm talking about call it swing. She's this, she's that, but she's still there. And nobody's going to protest her. Nobody's turning up in front of the High Court to protest the acting Chief Justice, Wiltshire. Nobody's going to do that up to now. Nobody's going to do these things. But suddenly, we're supposed to make nice here because a little bit disrespectful. But that's all we're going to do. That's all. These people are getting fat. They're getting lazy. They're controlling us. And they're laughing at us because you know why we can't do better. We can't do better at all. When Gavin Matthews start, what's the big issue? You ain't supposed to talk it to black. Black people are supposed to get sense. Yeah, you can graduate with a master's degree and a PhD and all these things, but they are there for you to regurgitate only and not for you to expound, not for you to create an hypothesis so you can awake the imagination of the child. No, you're supposed to allow the child to keep on sleeping. That is your duty. They tell you that y'all gotta keep on sleeping. Sleep. You understand? Y'all gotta keep on sleeping. Or if you are turn on the social media, well, gotta get people to entertain you. I'm an educator. That's what I do. I speak it as it is, as I see it. No one can tell me the other way around. You can't make I turn me next cheek. I don't care how much Christian you are. It's time for us to wake up. Smell the coffee, it's brewing. It's brewing on the fire. All these things are not doing good to us. It's taking our choices away. Racism has continued and will always continue on the people under the People's Progressive Party. We cannot allow, you know, I was reading something, a statement given by Charles Ramson on his social media page. And racism was really taught and was embedded in him. The guy is so stupid that he said the same thing. He said his mother taught him that when she was pregnant with him, she used to be in a line waiting for hours for food just for them to feed. That is what he said. She said she imparted the knowledge in him that under this black regime of the PNC, it was hard. So to have racist remarks, it's embedded within his DNA. It's entwined in him. And I'm sure a lot of us read that same statement, but we haven't seen that particular part. He was taught by his mother. That's what he said. That means at a small age, as a child, they teach them. Why when you see a black man, or like he, because them do we this and them do we that. You know what's happening now? Your own are now rejecting you because they got to understand the life of the Afro Guyanese. It's not what you taught them. It is reality. But you are now trying to change reality by Mr. Ramsey by continuing what is in your DNA, racism. You can take me to court, I don't give a damn. Court doesn't control my mouth. No man will. Not no jail, no lockup, no nothing. Can't control this mouth. Can't even control me. I told you and I'm saying it again, I'm a force to reckon with. I will tear your kingdom down. Brick by brick. When I finish with y'all, can't even breathe. Stop looking at these institutions to give us hope when they're not designed to give us hope. Stop looking at the Ethnic Relations Commission, people. It's a falsifit. It's a nonsense. One of its 10 commissioners is a racist. Roshan Khan himself, I can't imagine how these people expect to live among Guyanese when they're also a little house on the prairie we talking about his exaltation to richness. He just stays the dust, a speck, and he calls himself a Muslim. These racists. People like me, yes, this small man can speak out to you because I don't have the kind of wealth you got. But it tells me plain that it's nothing. That's why I can rise in front of your face and challenge you because I'm not afraid of your wealth. That's one. And number two, you're a boy, you're a child. You stand behind your wealth. I don't stand behind mine. I don't have it all. I got knowledge. Knowledge is power. I know you know the Bible because when you look at me, you see it. And I stand over you. You're beneath me. All of you. You're a waste of my time. But I will not stand by and see you perpetrate your racism, perpetuate your craziness and your dictatorship and your terrorism and barbarism on Guyanese people and be quiet. You talk about the PNC has no role models among the black community. The PPP, I say so. Ain't got no role model for the Indo-Guyanese community because you murder them out. Oh, you forget? I tell you, Mr. Ramson, your vice president had a thoroughfare in Lusignan. I what is man really talking about? Sometimes I just wanted to understand. This man, when he embarrassed Jack Joe, more Indian people died under his watch as president. More Indo-Guyanese died who had been cut off, who keep running. Why you think so much about Mr. Ramson? Why you think, ask yourself, ask your vice president, why so much Indo-Guyanese left Guyana since they heard the PPP come to power? They done mistake in Barrack time, they beat out. Now the area come to power, they beat out again. They beat out more fast than anything. This boy talk about role models. I want to ask him which one of them at the top of the party that he serves are a role model. None of them. One is a dunce. The other one is a murderer. Both of them, he and the attorney general, all of them. They have involved themselves in illegal and illicit activities. Guyanese died under their watch. And then you have the audacity to talk about being role models. To who are you talking? Oh, yes, to hits and jams. To Corey Bullets and Royal Ferguson, you role models to them. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, you're their role models. That's why you can sit on their station and talk your nonsense. So absolutely correct. I'm going to say this to you now, though. I am Gavin Matthews. I am a role model. I don't kill and murder people. I don't create genocide. I am a role model, and I'm a legend, and I will remain that until I die. I will forge the understanding of freedom among my people, and I will keep it that way. And I will make sure that we stand in the face of tyranny and oppression, tear that wall down. As a people, we will stand against you, the PPP, and your conglomerates. We'll make no comments about it. You are a murderous regime of men and women and house slaves as who you are. This I will keep on teaching my people. I have a right to because you're doing it to us. And I will keep encouraging those who are looking at this live stream to keep on supporting the referendum, whether it be Indo-Guyanese or African Guyanese, whatever Guyanese you may call yourself. As long as you're Guyanese, stand up against such a regime of terror. I want to say thank you for being a part of tonight's show. Any other information pertaining to the voting, I would like you to call me. It's always a consistent thing for you to do so. I want us to be strong in when we approach the Chancellor's office in our votes and our contribution towards having this done. I want to say to you good night. Stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, wear a mask. Don't forget the little ones you take into public places. This is Dr. Matthews saying good night. Cheerios for now.